Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of
Money Matters.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, drew a blank. I couldn't remember his life in Money Matters or Money Matters. I don't know. So much has happened in the last month. Money Matters with Hill Financial Group. I'm Mike, and this is the guy that can actually remember his name. This is Casey, and we like to bring you another episode today. We've gone over a lot of things. We've had great response on the podcast. We're trying to get the subscribers up, but I'm a little bit casual today, as you can see. Got the glasses on, so I could actually see what we're going to talk about today. But anyway, we had a great first quarter. Casey, before we just jump into everything, don't have to get too much details, but just your opinions of what's kind of happening in the market, what's kind of where we're headed, and what you kind of see. No guarantees or anything like that, but what you kind of see was going on with the tariffs and everything in the S&P right now. For sure.
So I think the 10% or so pullback that we've had this first quarter of this year isn't unexpected for a couple of reasons. One, the new administration, Trump's tariffs and the things that he's trying to implement, I think are just causing a little bit of uncertainty in the market. And so anytime there's uncertainty in the market gets skittish. It'll tend to pull back. The other thing is we have not had a 10% correction in the market since October of 2023. So we were at the marker, but 15 to 18 months. Typically, the market's going to pull back at least 10% or more. We're hitting that on the head, if you will, for that time period being right now. So I think this is just a typical market correction. No need to panic as long as you have your funds allocated appropriately, which I think we do a pretty good job of for our clients.
Good plug there, Casey.
Yeah, there's no reason to adjust anything. We are seeing some shift from growth to value. So, we're talking to some of our clients about that. But outside of those long-term strategies, we've are confident the market's going to pick back up second half of this year.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I love defensive plays right now, value stocks, et cetera. Even the treasury yields have come down a little bit, which may hopefully, fingers crossed, help with mortgage rates and everything else. Today, we've had a lot of clients who just finished their tax returns. I'm not one of them. I am definitely that guy that does the extension every year. I'm like the plumber whose pipes are terrible in his own house. I don't get to my own taxes till May. I'm so busy looking at other clients. We look at a lot of our clients' tax returns, try to see what the most optimistic way to pay your taxes, right, the least amount going to Uncle Sam as possible. We don't just do investments. We also maybe help you give a tax strategy that'll help. So speaking of which, we've had a lot of clients that own their own business, from dentists to doctors to plumbers to guys that shingles, you name it, electric companies. And they're always coming in, Mike, what are some things that we could do to help us plan financially for our business, as we never had to do things like pay ourselves, et cetera. So one of the things that I wanted to do was with Casey is a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand cash flow. What I mean by that is they will have a lot of like electric guys. They'll do the work and they may not get paid for 30 or 60 days. How do you plan for that? So what is maybe the importance of cash flow inside of a business, Casey, that you can give some pros and cons to?
Yeah, for sure. I think you need to have at least that 3 to 6 months of, just cash in your accounts, for the flexibility, not knowing when, you may send out accounts receivable, but it's not, coming in on time. And so just having a good, healthy cash reserve is going to help with some of those cash flow issues. The other thing is just having someone maybe on your team that can follow up with those accounts receivable to make sure that those are getting paid and you're getting that money that you're owed. Outside of that, I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
I think the startup cost, I get that. You get somebody that wants to start up, they have $500,000, let's say, for example, to start a business. You need to go get someplace. You probably need to rent it for 6 months ahead of time. But keep enough cash aside for 6 months for payroll. Why? Let's say you're an electrician. You have 3 guys working for you. But the restaurant that you just did an electrical job for, they're like, okay, we're going to pay you in 30 days. the guy that helped you do the work, they can't wait 30 days to get paid. You got to have money set aside to keep your payroll, including FICA taxes and W-2, all W-9 taxes, all the fun things. So that would be my advice, is keep 20% of what your startup cost needs to be set aside for payroll, no matter what business you're in, because even if you're not on a 30-day accrual, you're going to have people, especially in up and down economies, that maybe can't pay you for 30 to 60 days, and you have to plan for them. So the other thing I would say is tax obligations. I don't think enough people look into write-offs that they can use. I mean, one that I've used with a lot of roofers, things like that, is the 179 deduction. Look into it, Google it. It has to do with driving heavier trucks, heavier cars. You see a lot of these roofers that have the big trucks. That's why they get to write off a lot of the 1 year purchase of that truck on their tax returns. But things like that. Get with your CPA when you start a small business. Should be your most trusted advisor and your best friend.
For sure.
So that would be advice there. Profit margins, we won't really get into, because profit margins, there's some businesses where profit margins are as thin as 5%. Then you get other profit. But I would look into your industry whenever you're doing a startup, or if you're even maintaining, where are the profit margins on average for your industry, and why are you below or above? One thing that I really wanted to get into is retirement planning.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do for small businesses. There's things like SEP IRAs, self-employment IRAs, Roth IRAs, solo 401ks. If you could, what is something, when somebody comes into our office and has a small business, what would be something that would make you guide them to picking one plan over another?
For sure. So if they are the only employee of the business, it is like a sole proprietor, you do not have any employees, maybe you contract some help or something like that, that's fine. But you don't actually have anybody on like a W-2 employee under your business. A SEP IRA is going to be your best, go-to option for retirement saving. The reason why is, since you're the only one, you can do the lesser of either 25% of your reportable income, or up to $70,000 for 2025. If you're, doing really, really well, maybe you can, max that out. We certainly would love to help with those people that might be in there.
25% income. I mean, think about that. You get to write off 25% of your income that you come in, and you actually get to keep it. It isn't, I have my kids sometimes, well, Dad, you could just write it off. And I'm always reminded of that, Seinfeld episode. What is a write-off? I don't know. You just write it off. Or what was that Schitt's Creek where they said you could just write it off? It's like, well, what is a write-off? But in this instance, a write-off isn't me buying something and then the money goes bye-bye. I get to put it in investment. It grows tax deferred. I'm helping my own retirement. And unlike an IRA where you can only put in $8,000 a year, you could put in, like you said, 25% of your income, or up to $70,000 this year in 2025. So that's great advice. Solo 401k if you have multiple employees. Sure. Another thing is maybe looking to hire your child. I won't get into much detail on that, but you have two young, I'm not saying you hire a young daughter that, is still in diapers.
No, can't do that.
You can't really do that, but there are some things that you can do where you can hire your kids and you get to write it off as a business, and they get to keep some of the income, and they don't have to declare all the income. So there are things out there. A CPA would be able to get you in that more, or you can sit down with us and we'd be able to talk to you a little bit more.
I was just going to jump in real quick. The other one, for smaller businesses do have multiple employees, the simple IRA is probably the best option for them.
And we got most guys will have it, but we have a little chart in our office when you come in. We kind of weed you through, okay, which way should we go? What is the best plan for you based on how many employees you have, what your income is, et cetera, et cetera. Exactly. So, but just start would be the advice, I guess. This is a big one, because this is actually me and Casey had done this. If you don't know, we're independent advisors. We do not work for anybody. We work for our clients. We are just getting independent advice. We literally are paid directly from our clients. So for the advice that we give, we can be fired at any time. Hired at any time if you're looking. But how do you protect that? How do you protect somebody where literally all I'm doing is giving advice? So what I mean by that is not just if a tornado comes through or God forbid a fire, how do you protect the business? Let's say Mike Hill, God forbid, becomes disabled, gets in a car accident. What do I do? How's my family protected, or how is the business protected for at least 2 to 3 months? Thank God I got a partner in Casey that we can both work off of each other and work each other's clients. But what happens if I'm disabled for 6 months? So Number one, I would say look into short-term disability insurance. It's very cheap. I advise this of all my clients that are self-employed. Short-term disability insurance, if you were to lose your voice, you were to lose your eyes, whatever it is, it kicks in after about 30 to 60 days in some cases. I can't stress that enough. Because Social Security disability, you have to go through so many hurdles just to get that. It may take 2 years. So at the end of the day, one of the things I want to talk to you about is, for example, we've kind of talked about, I personally have an LLC for my business.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you advise a client, especially somebody like yourself that's an independent advisor, would you advise them to open up an LLC for their business? And not to get into too much tax planning,
sure.
but what would be a reason for having an LLC?
Yeah, 100%. Just to
Limited Liability Corporation, by the way, is
yeah,
what that stands for.
Just to do what it kind of talks about, like you are limiting your liability on, the business that you're running. So your personal finances, your personal assets are protected against anything that would maybe come up in your business that that if you were sued, but it was because of something you did in your business. You don't want your personal assets to be part of that kind of conversation, if you will.
You own your building.
Yeah.
Somebody falls down. Next thing you know, they're suing you and your wife for your house over here because you didn't have a business or a LLC that owns the property. It
separates the business from your personal assets. And so you absolutely should to file and get an LLC if you're operating your own business.
Another thing to look into, maybe, and I want to love to get your opinion on this, umbrella, because you come back from the life insurance background. Umbrella insurance policies, that kind of helps you in some lawsuit cases, things like that. Some people do that because it's a little bit cheaper, I think, than an LLC.
For sure.
I'm a big fan of the LLC just for the separation of church and state, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Here's one, and I wanted to really bring this up, and sorry, in case you had no idea, I printed off these little bullet points. Here's one that we just did not too long ago is, if you're a CPA, you're a doctor, you're a dentist, and you were to pass away, how would your family be provided for? Well, I have life insurance. That's great. But your practice is worth something. It's a residual business. You have 4,000 patients to your dentist practice. Somebody's going to come in when you die and just take over all those patients or say, hey, sorry that, Dr. So-and-so passed away, but we sure would like to work with you. You just cut your wife and your family out of $1 million worth of income for the next couple of years because you didn't have what we call in our business a succession plan. I've seen it with CPAs, dentists. I've helped them do it. We personally have a succession plan. If Mike Hill is to pass away, my family is provided more with life insurance for each other, and same with Casey. But Casey, do you have clients that have had a succession plan? Is it something that's hard to talk to them about, but the importance of it? But we personally have done it. I will say that. So that's how important we think it is.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a couple of clients come in asking about that, and we've kind of helped give some guidance there. But really, just that kind of that buy-sell agreement. Like, if something happened to me, who is going to be the beneficiary of that basically income that would have been there would be lost to our family. So we want to make sure that that your family's protected and taken care of if the unexpected happen. And so you just find someone out there that wants to basically kind of be the owner of the policy, and then if something happened to you, the death benefit would then go to your family, and tax free, and then they would take over ownership of running and taking care of those clients that you had been serving.
I mean, and I will say this, and this could have probably some people on the podcast go, man, I'm just now subscribed. I'm not here trying to get scolded on. If you are a man and you have a business and you have and I'm picking on men here because I've seen more buy-sell agreements done with women than I have men with their business. Your business sometimes is your most valuable asset. You don't see it that way. Well, I'm just giving advice, or I'm just cleaning teeth, or I'm just doing. You, believe it or not, I know a lot of men out there, or wives are going to go, oh my gosh, don't give them that big of an ego. But yes, you're replaceable, but you're not. And the amount of book and the business that you built up is worth something. So shame on you if you do not have a buy-sell agreement, if you have a service-like business with residual clients and you have nothing in place when you die. Everybody has it in place when they're living. Oh, I got this. What happens if you were to die unexpectedly? How is your family going to be provided for? I tell you what's going to happen is all these other dentists or doctors, I'm picking on dentists, are going to go, sorry about that, but hey, we know he died, but if you want to come over here, we'll give you a free teeth cleaning this month only, and then you can become a client later. And now your wife, with a business that was producing $1 million in income, is completely cut out. So it is definitely something I would put at the top of my list if I am an entrepreneur, especially one that has residual income, especially if you're in the service industry.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I don't know if this podcast helps. We have all kinds of other ideas. We are both entrepreneurs and small business owners. So I think 28 years doing it.
Something we have some experience with.
Yeah, we've done it personally. Everything we told you, we have in place for ourselves. So I wouldn't give advice that I wouldn't give somebody else, but it's absolutely, I'm looking for as many tax loopholes as anybody else legally. But I want to get to that gray area and then come back. But it's something that we love helping with our clients. It's something that we love doing. And I want as many small business owners to succeed as possible. So especially here in our local.
Let's make Midlothian thrive. For sure.
So anyway, I think we're going to wrap up this episode. Any thoughts that you have?
No, I think that's good. I mean, the biggest thing with, owning your own business is, you want to pay as little taxes as possible. And so we help clients do that, come up with strategies and ways to make sure you're not paying taxes or as limited amount of taxes as possible year to year, with also, taking advantage of, what we think the future would hold for taxes and how we generate tax-free income for retirement.
And I think we said this on our very first podcast. You are a bill. Pay yourself as if you're an employee. I see this so many times with small entrepreneurs. They push off themselves so they can pay all the other bills. I get it. But you're an employee.
Yeah.
That is the money that you take home. Everything else is an investment back in the business or a SEP IRA, but pay yourself like you are a bill, no different than the mortgage. If you do that, you'll get through the rough times. So that's Money Matters with Hill Financial Group. That's it for this podcast. Thank you. I hope you check us out next week with our next one. Thank you.